Okay, I think we're ready now to continue. So as we reconvene after our breakout sessions, it's time to hear the conclusions from each group. So I kindly invite the moderators from each group to come up on stage and provide a brief overview of the discussions that took place in their respective sessions. May I invite Mr. Conor Galvin first? Mr. Conor, please.
Can we get first slides, yes?
Yes, I think.
So it's group one. No, group one, slides. Thank you. Can I just thank the wonderful group who turned up and stayed the course with us. I did actually have a box of chocolates to give to the group that worked hardest, but I forgot, so if you ask me afterwards. Okay. Right, we had 3 questions. The first question was to do with the challenges and the opportunities that are there for us to take as European schools and education institutions. Challenges, the kind of things that came up, the biggest single challenge was the complexity of actually defining the terms. Although we've done years and years in these spaces, we still haven't fully agreed what it is we're talking about when we talk about citizenship and when we talk about sustainability, and certainly not the shared space. I think we've come a huge way. I think there's been fantastic work done, particularly at the Council of Europe side, in terms of citizenship, but we still got some ground to cover. There's a lack of concretion in Europe and national curricula. We are all doing it differently. There's so many different variations. This is not necessarily a bad thing, but it does mean that it's hard to share good examples and good practices. Yes, that'd be handy. Thank you. And for my next song. Yes, okay. Yes. I'd like to introduce my backing group. Okay. All right. And the biggest at both national and European level, the biggest difficulty is providing meaningful opportunity for teacher development and teacher training. The materials and the pedagogies. We're starting to see some wonderful examples, but they're flowers in a field. They're few and far between, and we're not seeing really, the commonalities. There's a gap between the different education stages, between primary and secondary, that's not fully acknowledged. There are wonderful opportunities to work at the primary level, but there are also wonderful opportunities to work at the secondary level, and everybody forgets about VET. And I think that that's a section that needs to be particularly focused on as well. Lack of time in the school day is the biggest one, a huge challenge for teachers, and it's something that we all have to address right across the different union countries. Opportunities. Young people love both areas if you introduce it to them properly. It's like Bruner said, you can teach anyone anything if you do it in an intellectual, honest manner. So young people are keen to be engaged. They're keen to do stuff. They've seen Greta. They've seen, what you can do when you set fire to things. That's a challenge to us. But as teachers, we have to find ways of helping young people to see those activities and how to use them. The 2 topics can be integrated very, very successfully. There's a huge amount of commonality, but we need to do some work to make sure that they integrate seamlessly. The good work that's been done in the past can build to a better future. Recognition of good practice rather than best practice. There is no best practice. There's lots of good practice, and we need to find it and watch it and build on it. There are already existing European programs that are starting to deal with this, and the Erasmus plus Teacher Academy, the Jean Monnet were mentioned several times. There are others. Okay, next slide. Thank you. There should be 3 slides. Next one. Okay, thanks. Are there good models out there? There are, yes. And one particularly interesting one is what's called the Climate Coalition model that's been built recently by the Commission through JRC and has grown from the ground up, if you like. It's a very, very good example of green education. It gives you the opportunity to meet, to talk, But we do have a problem in terms of it's not really yet engaging with areas of citizenship. Several ministries being involved can be a plus, can be a minus. If you have more than one ministry, there might be turf wars. You need to make sure that people are on the same agenda. Spain gave some very, very good ideas in terms of a recognition of awards and so on. Good practice is rewarded at national level. We think there's a place for that, but we think it should be awards that are open to everybody and not just kind of elite. It should be something that every teacher could aspire to. And then there's the Ibero-American countries in that. Romania has some fantastic examples of good practice in these spaces, including decisions to electrify buses in rural areas, Green Week activities when schools can carry out projects in their sustainability areas, and citizenship feeds into that. Thank you. Next slide for 30 seconds. We're still on the good models. I want another 10 seconds because you're not changing them fast enough. Okay. All right, we're good. Okay, what actions? That's fine. What actions can we actually take? The main point in terms of actions, really would be that the integration of what's being done in terms of developing the new framework spaces and the integration of what's been done in terms of the competency work at the European level. There's a lovely space there that can take those forward in both the short to the medium term. Monitoring and evaluating, it needs to be built into the semester structures in some way, shape or form. We need to have responsibility taken at the national level and responsibility taken at the Commission level to continue to fund and to push the lines that have been taken so far. We're going the right direction. It's all about hope. There's a lot of hope out there, but we need to leverage it. We need to make use of it. And next time, I hope we'll get the slides finished on time. Okay, thanks.
Thank you very much. I can see you had a very fruitful discussion that you didn't even have time to write the summary. That's very good news. Now I would like to invite our second moderator for the conclusions.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so to start, I'd like to share a word cloud that we produced. Our group, a group of 30 people, and we asked, okay, European Year of Digital Citizenship Education. Name up 3 words that come to your mind when you hear this expression. And I apologize, but Villano, I think that the Council of Europe will need a second European Year on Digital Citizenship Education because we have democracy in the center, but AI, literacy, media literacy, critical thinking, digital competence, artificial intelligence, reduced democratic deficit, a lot of important issues, of key issues. Maybe 1 year it's not enough, and we all know that 1 year it's not enough, of course. Second slide, please. The second slide, the first question, we merged questions, so we organized 3 questions in only 2. The first one was about opportunities and challenges faced by European educational systems in empowering citizens on European common values and how to overcome some of the main challenges. In terms of challenges, some difficulties to communicate among different cultures, for instance, in North Africa, Ceuta and Melilla. It's not the same when kids are at school and when they are at home. It's different. The context is completely different, and so it's important to understand that at school they have some opportunities, and so teachers must be the intermediators. And to become an intermediator, you need to be prepared. You need to be trained. Then one of the challenges is some people don't understand what is diversity, and another one is are the contradictions among values at school and values at home, as I was saying some seconds ago. And a third challenge is to identify fake and data news, so it's disinformation. Okay, how to overcome these challenges? Diversity must be, I won't say the new normal, but the normal. And it's key to incorporate European values at school, as we were discussing this morning, and our speakers explained us in a brilliant way, of course. And then sharing good practices and training about cybersecurity, but not only cybersecurity, the critical thinking is key too. Next slide, please. Finally, some groups work on what can we do in terms of initiatives at the national, international, or European level during the European Year of Digital Citizenship Education. First idea, what is digital citizenship education? We need a bottom-up strategy to explaining, make sure that everyone understands what is digital citizenship education. Otherwise, it will be difficult to assess the impact of the initiatives. And as you can see, the column related with impact assessment strategy is a blank column. So there's a lot of work to do in this area. Sometimes having no answers, it's more important than having some answers. And in this case, it's really important. So we need several strategies to measure the impact of the initiatives that we are going to develop in 2025. Some proposals in terms of initiatives: a learning platform based on common values and focused and working as in terms of gamification, promote exchanges like Erasmus, making students aware of the risks of AI. Another proposal, very interesting, a common framework on digital and media literacy, international framework. Of course, some frameworks exist already, so maybe we can improve the existing ones. Lifelong Learner for Free, it's a project in Spain, Campus 42. And then simplify the process of bureaucracy, using AI to simplify process at the European Union level, for instance, in terms of funding small companies or small NGOs. And I think that's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We can say that this group has really taken seriously their topic by presenting it with a digital tool as well. So thank you. Now I would like to invite our last moderator.
Third.
Thank
So
you.
that group took it very seriously. I was mentioning that in our group there was one of the subgroups that was like my rebellious daughter of 14 who doesn't listen to me ever. And also in that group they weren't listening so carefully. I'm not going to take up too much time here because what you can't see is that there is a screen in front of me that has a clock that's counting down. If we can, I don't know if we can get the questions up. That's okay, I'll do it without the questions. But we only addressed one question because I really wanted to make sure that we had some in-depth discussion. And that in-depth discussion really focused on the challenges that people felt, both in their personal work and also for those that were in my group. If you can please, if you want to, hand in what you had as your personal challenges related to the implementation of citizenship education. And you also then address, in addition to your personal challenges, those for for this education system in general. If you can give them to me or to Maria, who's doing the reporting. Maria has been typing very fast. Then it'll be appreciated because it'll really help with the report and for the feedback to the Commission. So we asked ourselves, basically, what are these real challenges when it comes to the education system in general? And I think, to my surprise, one of the things that came up quite often was, what values are we talking about? There were 2 or 3 groups that came up with that particular issue, that they were not clear within their own education system what these values that are being promoted. Even though, if you look at the Council of Europe and you look at the European Commission, it's quite clear what these European values are. Members of 2 or 3 of these subgroups felt it's still not clear in their own context what values we're really trying to promote. So more outreach in terms of that kind of issue. Digitalization, which was handled, I'm going to now go through what we had in terms of challenges here on the screen. Digitalization, and especially the impact that now has compared to the past on citizenship education. How do we deal with this ongoing challenge of digitalization? Because if we talk about deep fakes, if we talk about the kind of disinformation that's out there, it's evolving very quickly, and it's evolving much more quickly than policies are being created. I mentioned this common vision on values because we had one group that was from Spain, and they were discussing especially the Spanish situation, and they felt in Spain there is no common vision yet as to what citizenship education should look like. Assessment tools have already been addressed. In the issue paper, and it's a little complicated to get to the issue paper, and maybe we need to mention that again, which is about 46, 48 pages, I think, that looks at citizenship education. We identified in that issue paper 3 types of citizenship education. If you look at the way it's implemented in European societies and outside of European societies, a more traditional way, which is civics education and focus on the political process. How does voting work? How does society work? It's really knowledge focused. The second one is on critical citizenship education. So thinking critically about society and what is happening in terms of politics, thinking critically about the different political parties that exist in society, thinking about one's role in society and one's responsibilities in society in a very critical way. And then the third, and that's the Greta approach, but if we want everybody to be Greta, nobody's going to be in school, right? They're all going to be on strike, but maybe there's something to that. It's transforming society, using citizenship education not only to think critically about society, but also to try to get students actively engaged, it's been mentioned multiple times today, in transforming society and them to reflect on their role in transforming society. So that was in one group. They thought it was really important to do that, and it means innovative methodologies. It means going beyond just reading books. It means going beyond lectures. It means actually getting students actively involved. The concept not yet defined that relates to what is then citizenship education, different things. The clear vision that's lacking. Teacher managing diversity in their classrooms, and I think it's especially the management of that diversity and seeing it as a positive asset also in terms of citizenship education. It's been mentioned a couple times today, the community and parents, that can be problematic, but also can be an asset, and it really deserves more attention. How to communicate with parents in the community and how to make that a positive relationship. Okay, the last slide, I'm just going to discuss that in 30 seconds I have, it looks like. This was looking at the solutions, and they connect to these challenges, of course. Do we have that second slide? I'm with Connor here. I need another 10 seconds after that. It's still the challenges? Oh, here we go. Here are the solutions, main solutions. So recognizing teachers' work through certification, this communication with the community, seeing cultural diversity as an asset, reaching this consensus on a common view, and you see that it connects to the challenges quite clearly. More concrete actions that are, and that's key, that all should be underlined, accessible to everybody. So not only accessible to the elite, not only accessible to those that already have certain advantages in society, but to everybody. Reaching an idealistic way, a fair and inclusive society, involving the community in general. More training and resources, as already mentioned. And then the last point is that evidence in terms of, and it was already mentioned, maybe not best practices, but good practices, but also trying to find evidence as to what works and why does it work, and how can we share that kind of evidence with each other so we don't make the same mistake again. Thank you, my group, in case I missed something. Maybe in all the groups they can add something. I don't know if there's time, but thank you for my group and all their contributions.
Well, thank you very much, all groups, for your hard work and your enlightening discussions and conclusion. And I don't know if you can stay there for the closing of the conference. Now it's time to bring this conference to a close after a very fruitful and engaging day. We are very honored to have Ms. Mónica Domínguez García, Director General for Evaluation and Territorial Cooperation, sharing a few closing words to officially conclude this conference. Director, the floor is yours.
Muy buenas tardes a todas y a todos, estimados representantes de la Comisión Europea, de los Ministerios de Educación de los Estados miembros de la Unión Europea y también del Grupo de Países de la Asociación Europea de Libre Comercio, autoridades educativas españolas, miembros del Consejo Escolar del Estado, representantes de las organizaciones de la sociedad civil, expertos y expertas, amigos y amigas. Muchísimas gracias por haber venido hoy acompañándonos a este evento que creo que es fundamental para el Gobierno de España, evidentemente, pero también para todos los miembros Estado de la Unión Europea. Esta conferencia ha sido posible gracias a la fantástica contribución de la Comisión Europea, no solo mediante la financiación, evidentemente, que la agradecemos, sino también y muy especialmente por el trabajo tanto de apoyo como de reflexión que nos ha permitido preparar con mucha conciencia este evento, esta conferencia. También porque nos habéis dado la oportunidad de celebrar aquí en España, en el pasado mes de marzo, como se ha venido diciendo a lo largo de la mañana, una PLA, la Peer Learning Activity, del Grupo de Trabajo de Espacio Europeo de Educación sobre Igualdad y Valores en Educación y Formación, que nos ha permitido recoger mucha información, que nos ha permitido estar hoy aquí con una información nueva. ¿Por qué llevamos a cabo esta conferencia? Creo que todos los aquí presentes somos conocedores que somos deudores del informe y de la resolución del Parlamento Europeo sobre la aplicación de medidas de educación para la ciudadanía, de las comunicaciones de la Comisión sobre esta materia, de las propuestas de la Comisión, de las recomendaciones del Consejo, muy especialmente la recomendación del 2018 sobre la promoción de valores, de la tradición del Consejo de Europa y de la UNESCO, y, por supuesto, de la Declaración de París del 2015 sobre la promoción de la ciudadanía y los valores comunes de libertad. Todo esto nos ha permitido tener un background con el cual hemos podido contribuir a uno de los 4 ejes prioritarios de esta presidencia, de la presidencia española del Consejo de la Unión Europea, en el ámbito de la educación. Y precisamente es la que lleva por título este evento, esta conferencia, que es la contribución de la educación a la promoción de los valores comunes europeos y de la ciudadanía democrática. Este ha sido precisamente el objetivo que hemos querido trabajar hoy, con el que hemos diseñado todo el formato de esta conferencia. Y precisamente el objetivo central es llevar el proceso de debate, de reflexión, de deliberación, para conseguir que esta promoción de los valores comunes europeos y la ciudadanía democrática sean vectores de cohesión y de inclusión en todos los Estados miembros, que llegue a todos los niveles educativos, que llegue a todos los tipos de educación formal, no formal e informal, y que esté siempre a lo largo de la vida. Todos los que habéis estado presentes hoy habéis hecho posible el cumplimiento de este objetivo, gracias a vuestra trayectoria intelectual, gracias a vuestras responsabilidades institucionales y en la política educativa, gracias a vuestra excelencia en los centros educativos con la práctica educativa y, muy especialmente, por el compromiso cívico en todas las organizaciones de la sociedad civil. Hemos empezado con una ponencia inaugural en la que nos recordaba la profesora y maestra Adela Cortina que los países europeos a lo largo de su historia han ido optando por una civilización humanista, que apuesta por la libertad, la igualdad de las personas, la no discriminación, la solidaridad como fuerza motora, el respeto a los derechos, a la dignidad de todas y todos los seres humanos y, fundamentalmente, como ha resumido ella, para crear una paz justa, que también nos ha definido. Y ha añadido, Adela, que la Unión Europea no es solo un conjunto, una comunidad política y económica, sino que, ante todo y sobre todo, es una Europa ciudadana, que está abierta al mundo y en la que todos los países se han ido democratizando, unidas siempre con la finalidad de llegar a unos valores democráticos. Y esta Europa adquiere un compromiso, y este compromiso es el que hemos constatado hoy a lo largo de las distintas sesiones que se han ido trabajando. Hemos ido concretando con las distintas sesiones en los distintos paneles que uno de los ejes de la conferencia ha sido la perspectiva comparada de la educación para la ciudadanía. Hemos podido comprobar las tendencias en diversas dimensiones de la educación para la ciudadanía en 6 Estados miembros de la Unión Europea. En el primer panel, los responsables políticos de Portugal, de Francia y de España, partiendo de la singularidad de cada uno de sus sistemas educativos, nos han aportado una visión acerca de las oportunidades que da la Unión Europea para ayudar a promover la educación para la ciudadanía. Recordamos que una de las aportaciones comunes a los 3, a pesar de las diferencias de contexto, es la forma en la que han ido integrando dentro de sus currículos los valores democráticos. Otro aspecto común es que todos han incidido en la importancia de que todos los agentes deben ser participantes de estos valores. Y, evidentemente, también nos han explicado con detalle no muy específico, pero sí que han dado las claves de todos los retos y los desafíos que todavía nos quedan por delante. En el siguiente panel, los 3 representantes de los gobiernos de Finlandia, de Austria y de Eslovenia nos han presentado la influencia de que los referentes a nivel europeo han tenido para la interpretación y para la aplicación en sus países, manifestando claramente que estos referentes son oportunidades y que todos los países, a pesar de las diferencias que tienen, facilitan esta unión. Nos han explicado muy bien de qué forma integran en sus currículos los temas relacionados con la Unión Europea y también otras dimensiones relevantes en el contexto de la educación formal, como por ejemplo la importancia de la formación y el acompañamiento del profesorado. Los 3 países han vuelto a coincidir otra vez en la importancia que significa poner la mirada en que el alumnado sea agente activo, que debe participar del proceso de enseñanza y aprendizaje de sus centros, porque es la única forma en la que podemos conseguir el objetivo buscado. En el tercer panel ha sido de especial relevancia poder escuchar las vivencias desde los centros educativos para comprobar el valor añadido en materia de educación que nos aporta el programa Erasmus+. Son contextos y centros educativos españoles de muy diferente contexto, pero nos han puesto de manifiesto que sin Erasmus+ no sería lo mismo, sus centros no serían los mismos. Nos han mostrado cómo este programa les ha permitido fomentar la participación del alumno, cómo se pueden abrir al mundo y, por tanto, sostienen valores como han mencionado la solidaridad, la tolerancia o el respeto. Estos valores, esta acción educativa es la que se está desarrollando con las experiencias que nos han mostrado y ponen de manifiesto que se puede concretar, se puede llevar a cabo la prioridad del programa, que es la participación en la vida democrática, los valores comunes y el compromiso cívico. Y con mucho remarque han hecho de todos y cada uno de los miembros de la comunidad educativa, no solo el alumnado, sino muy especialmente también las familias y todo el entorno local que envuelve esa comunidad educativa. Por último, en el cuarto panel, en el fantástico panel que hemos tenido la oportunidad de escuchar los valores que se pueden transmitir a través de la educación para la ciudadanía, en la educación no formal e informal, e incluso el voluntariado, hemos visto la importancia capital en la vida de muchas personas a lo largo de su ciclo vital. Desde luego, las organizaciones de la sociedad civil tienen una amplia experiencia, una amplia trayectoria en esta materia y han identificado con claridad la contribución de la educación no formal e informal a los valores comunes europeos y a la ciudadanía democrática. Y especialmente de todos y cada uno de los que conforman la sociedad, pero muy especialmente con esa mirada a los colectivos más vulnerables. Finalmente, acabamos de escuchar las conclusiones de los 3 grupos de trabajo que se han celebrado paralelamente y se han discutido las cuestiones que acaban de explicarnos ahora. No voy a subrayar nada en particular porque de manera sintética creo que lo han explicado precioso ahora mismo los 3 conductores, pero desde luego vemos que todavía queda mucho trabajo por delante, que queda mucho trabajo para conseguir esta calidad y esta equidad que queremos en todos los niveles y en todos los tipos de educación en los próximos años. Para finalizar, quiero subrayar que todas las aportaciones que se han hecho en esta conferencia, todas las reflexiones, todas las conclusiones van a ser con seguridad una contribución de mucho valor y utilidad para que los objetivos de la presidencia española puedan ser un éxito compartido por todas y todos vosotros. Queremos informaros que, evidentemente, al finalizar todo el evento del día de hoy, se va a realizar un informe sobre el desarrollo de la conferencia que, evidentemente, se os será remitido a todos los presentes. Permitidme llegar a este momento final de la conferencia expresando mi más sincero agradecimiento a la Comisión Europea, muy en particular a Stefan y a Daria. A Stefan, desde luego, por la reflexión sutil, amable y siempre atenta y certera en la que nos ha ido acompañando a lo largo de la preparación de este evento. Una frase muy repetida en los últimos meses dentro de este ministerio es, claro, es que Stefan ya lo decía. Evidentemente, el compromiso que ha adquirido con este evento es de un agradecimiento muy profundo. Daria, pues a lo largo de estos últimos meses ha estado apoyándonos siempre con tu experiencia, con tu conocimiento, con tu profesionalidad, con tu disponibilidad. Muchísimas gracias porque sabemos que has desarrollado una comunicación fantástica con el Ministerio, muy en particular con Blanca, miembro del Ministerio de Educación. Muchísimas gracias. Un agradecimiento muy profundo a los vecinos de Portugal y de Francia, porque vuestra participación ha sido una vez más una muestra de buena y afectuosa vecindad y amistad. Muchísimas gracias. Transmitid un agradecimiento muy sincero al ministro João Marqués, porque la reforma educativa que se ha podido impulsar, que se ha impulsado en Portugal, ha sido una fuente de inspiración. Ya lo ha dicho el secretario de Estado, pero quiero reiterar que realmente nos ha servido, nos ha inspirado y es un objetivo que podemos seguir. Muchísimas gracias. Agradecemos muy sinceramente también la participación de Caroline Pascal, jefa de la Inspección General de Educación, Deportes e Investigación de Francia, porque ha participado de forma brillante con ese enfoque que siempre escuchamos con atención y muchas veces con admiración en España. En fin, un sincero agradecimiento a Adela, Domènec, Villano, a los representantes de los gobiernos de Austria, Finlandia y Eslovenia, a las personas de los centros educativos que habéis expuesto vuestras experiencias y que nos hacen poner los pies en el suelo, a las organizaciones de la sociedad civil que siempre debemos tener muy presentes, también desde el ámbito de la educación formal, a los moderadores de los paneles y a las 3 personas expertas que habéis conducido de forma excelente los grupos de trabajo. Y evidentemente no puedo finalizar sin hacer un especial agradecimiento a todo el equipo del Ministerio de Educación y Formación Profesional del Gobierno de España, también al equipo de la representación permanente de España en la Unión Europea, porque con vuestra profesionalidad, con vuestro entusiasmo y con vuestra dedicación habéis conseguido que esto sea un éxito. Y un especial agradecimiento y reconocimiento público, con un sincero agradecimiento, porque habéis trabajado de forma incansable, muy especialmente. Gracias, Blanca, gracias, Juan, gracias, Carmen, y gracias, Julio, y todo el equipo del INTEF. Con todos vosotros, participantes de esta conferencia, Gracias a vuestra colaboración, hoy aquí en España hemos podido compartir con vosotros, enriquecernos con vosotros y adquirir el compromiso que tenemos con los valores comunes europeos y la ciudadanía democrática. Y ahora sí que termino. En nombre de la ministra de Educación y Formación Profesional del Gobierno de España, declaro clausurada la conferencia presidencial sobre la contribución de la educación a la promoción de los valores comunes europeos y a la ciudadanía democrática. Muchísimas gracias por vuestra atención. Gracias.